Hello and welcome to another game of Dota 2, another high-end, high-level Immortal game filled with people you might have heard of and I might have heard of, but I don't remember who is in it. Now, let's just get into the game. I do find when I'm starting these out, the very first few seconds are really quite awkward because there's no nice transition from the draft discussion into the game, and there's no nice coordinated movements that happen near the start, as you might find with, let's say, a pro game. So it can always be a little bit odd to really try and start it out, which is why I started out with nonsense like I'm saying right now. But what I can say is we do look to have an interesting mid lane. It appears to be a Drow Alchemist matchup, which probably won't play very interestingly, but as we know, Alchemist fundamentally changes how the game is played, and there's a Magnus on his team, which can give him an even earlier damage steroid than the Radiance, possibly making it significantly harder to shut him down. My apologies, I have hiccups, which makes this apparently a terrible time to cast, but you know what, we shall anyway. Now, it appears like there's going to be a bit of fighting over the runes, and we'll see just how that breaks down. Looks like it will be a roughly even split, both offlaners sort of warding away the safe lane from everything that's happening. Yes, absolutely, will be an even split. Little bit of damage exchanged all over the place. Now, what lane is going to be interesting? That's the question. I'm going to bet on top lane. Top lane being the interesting lane. I was watching some of the actual pro matches earlier, just the first 10 minutes, try and get a feel for what they do in the early laning stage, and they seem to talk a lot more generally than I was, and they seem to be very relaxed quite early on. For example, in mid, yeah, very strong block from the Alchemist, though perhaps not what you want. Will force the waves to start bouncing back and forth, but maybe that is what you want. You don't want the Drow to just be allowed to right click you, and bouncing the wave constantly does help with that. Not a huge amount happening up top at the moment, but also further down, that's a little bit interesting. It looks like it's an Elder Titan core and a Mars support. I was convinced it was the other way around. Skewer doesn't quite land, and just a lot of bashing all over the place. 4 melees in that lane. Meanwhile, up top, a courier does get sniped by an Oracle with some fancy feet. Though, I admit I can't see his feet, so maybe they aren't so fancy. You never really know. But it's going to be a little bit difficult to dislodge this void from the lane. Oracle's very nice at sustaining, and while this is a very aggressive lane, the ability to just walk off any burst damage as well as purge off any of the negative effects, it's going to make this void hard to dislodge, and he's going to need some pressure. And that is not interesting in mid. Alchemist playing behind the opponent's tier 1 tower. I wouldn't be overly surprised to see some sort of rotation come out to punish this. He's in a very awkward position, taking tier 2 tower shots. That's a lot of damage. He might have just put himself into a really dangerous position, but no, he just wanders back. Bot lane, meanwhile, split up into a couple of 1v1s, trying to deny and get off the pull, respectively, while the two fat boys with hammers just wail on each other and the creeps. Not a huge amount happening, though it does feel like whichever side buys a mango first it has some pretty good kill threat. Meanwhile, down bottom, Oracle's positioned very forward. There's just chaos in all of the lanes, actually. Just everything is chaos, and not a moment is going to waste. Everyone seems to be doing quite alright in the lanes, and that is the first blood onto the Alchemist, which I didn't manage to catch, but they might actually get another one on to the axe here, but it seems like he will be doing okay. But as I was saying, CS is pretty even across the board, losing out the most, but roughly even in all lanes. The only lane where there's really any kind of pulling ahead is that Void, who is 6 or 7 ahead of his offlane counterpart. But at this sort of point, it's hard to really say if that's really pull any conclusions from that. The wave has been in a good position for this lane for the entire time. And as I said, it's quite hard to dislodge him. So he is going to have a pretty easy lane, this Void, and it's going to be quite scary if he isn't shut down at all. But by the same token, your Alchemist isn't doing badly whatsoever, immediately catches up to the Drow when he gets back into lane. And he will just start to sort of out efficiency with being able to take the side camps at better rates. He gets a better deal than any other hero on taking those tiny side camps. And in doing so, he'll start to pull ahead in gold, as an Alchemist always does. And they go onto the Rubik top. Rooted. No bash just yet. There's the first one. Jump in front. That should be it. And it is. Nice little kill onto the Rubik there. But nothing woefully impactful yet. Oracle seeming to be moving towards mid. It's not on rune timings. Maybe he's trying to snag the bounty rune. I think he got spotted out by the Alchemist there. But I don't think there's much chance of this being punished. Rubik might get the lift in time, and he definitely will. No way. And in fact, they do get 3 of the bounty runes, which the Alchemist is going to be very happy about. And apparently, they've managed to skewer the Elder Titan up onto the pillar and then break his TP. That's a nice little sentry, just got placed down to spot it out. Good read by the Ogre, assumed the immediate TP. And now Elder Titan's going to have a really fun time. It's possible he could maybe Iron Branch himself down or something. But entertaining nonetheless. Oracle got a ward which looks like it does block the camp. I'm not completely sure. Maybe that's just in the spot that doesn't. Trying to scout out this Alchemist, interrupt his farm, steal his XP as best that he can. Which does, of course, leave the Void open, in theory, to a 2v1, but Rubik seems to also be moving around the map, doing what he can. Nice little courier snipe, but the Oracle will be paying for it with his life as Ogre waddles back, gives him a quick stun, and he is merely added to the creep score of the Alchemist. It seems like playing behind the tier 1 is a strategy in all 3 lanes now, as everyone seems to be wanting to get all up in the Dire's business. Somehow manages to skewer through the sleep, doesn't manage to catch the spear on the tower, but should get some good damages anyway. Might barely bring him down with a few more right clicks, but no. No, not quite. Oracle still wandering around. I think Alchemist has to be a little careful. He's still pre-6, and it would be very funny to get sniped by the Oracle. Drown out, making the rotation, wanting to try and get what he can. Magnus has the RP, elects not to use it, and the Ogre's TP out will fail. A lot of damage comes out on that multi-shot. Even at very early levels. I imagine she's got 3 points in it. 4 now. And it is a 60% damage steroid, I believe. Or it's a 260 or 160. I'm not quite sure on the tooltip. I may as well have a look. Doesn't say. Either way, it does. It's not fun to tank. That's for sure. No one's disputing that one. It seems like they will be trying to at least pressure this Axe, who is off to quite a nice level of advantage. Chrono Spear committed, though the Oracle is thrown in by the Rubik lift. Speared up, will be finally brought down as the Rubik falls on the back lines. Ogre slightly out of position and run down by the rest of the Dire. But that will be as far as they go. Drow deciding to farm up an ancient camp since she's already here. Oracle blocking it for that extra little bit of annoyance, preventing the Alchemist from really getting efficiency out of the triangle if he decides to go there, but it seems like he's quite content in bottom jungle at the moment. Heart of Tarrasque on the axe is going to make it extremely hard to slowly wear him down, which is really how Void likes to do things in the lane. He doesn't exactly 100-0 anyone until he gets quite a few items, but that is getting quite dangerous. Void just barely making away with the Time Walk before the Culling Blade could come down. Got dangerously low to the threshold there. And it doesn't look like they're quite done yet. Fade Bolt is quite a scary ability, and he's got to be very careful on this Void not to get called along with the creep wave. If it's just him, he probably doesn't proc enough spins unless he's particularly unlucky to die. But if he is found in the creep wave with his current HP, that is when things get spicy. And he is just trying to dance underneath his tower. Just dangerous game he's playing, but there's not much other choice unless he wants to forsake his tier 1, and you never really want to give a tower away for free. And I think that's exactly the same feeling this Alchemist has, as he is forced to run away from his mid tower, finally caving to just the sheer pressure of the Drow as the rotations of the supports come in. I am very curious to see. Firstly, we do see the Alchemist going Battle Fury. I have to wonder if that's to pair with the Magnus Empower steroid, or if there is another reason I'm not quite seeing. It's a nice little granular item. It's easier to get, certainly, in that respect, but we will see what the exact plan is as time goes forward for this Alchemist. I have no doubt it is Armel. He's very good. There is a strategy to this, even if it isn't immediately apparent. The other item build I'm quite interested in is not the Oracles, though we will have a brief look at how the Oracle actually has Tranquil Boots by 10 minutes. I'm proud of him. What a guy. But no, it is this Elder Titan who appears to be going for Ags first. I wonder if he has something on the courier. It's the other courier. No, just for clarity. He's going for Ags first, which is curious. I imagine there are a lot of melee heroes, so it shouldn't be hard for him to proc multi-person stomps with multi-person astral spirits, meaning I suppose he doesn't really need help in the right-click department. So he just needs to not get stunned up like the Void is doing right now. First into the chain stun, will have the cool control, actually doesn't. Decides to go for the Chronosphere, and it stays a little bit longer, trying to just poke into that Rubik, see what he can find. Mars tries to arena and run away, but is dragged back in by the call. Rubik sniped out by the Oracle, and Ogre sacrifices himself to buy time for his brothers in arms to run away. No catch on the Fate's Edict, and overall you lose. You don't lose too much on the side of Dire, hero-wise. Your Mars dies, but the big thing is you blow your cooldowns. So your Void is very susceptible, once again, now for about 180 seconds, 120 seconds, to another gank, and your Mars has no arena for about 90. I think it's 90. Yeah, it is 90. 90 seconds where you can't really mount any clean kill attempts. Not that you could do so particularly easily anyway, pre-Blink Dagger, which the Mars is well off. And I'm gonna sneeze. Thank you! Thank you! Oh dear, my apologies. My apologies for that one. I hope I got my mic far enough away that it didn't catch, and but it reminds me I should set up a mute button. Much as I imagine several people in this game are getting muted as this Drow just rampages forward, diving under tier 1 towers to cut down a Rubik. How do you cut someone down with an arrow? It is a very sharp arrow. I'm quite surprised they've managed to turn the momentum around so quickly, even despite blowing all their major cooldowns. And so, in theory, they should have been on the back foot there and been the ones getting pressured. They managed to push forward and pick up the offlane tier 1. Now they have all 3 tier 1 towers. Maybe they picked one up, another one up while I wasn't looking. And it feels like they're looking for a fourth as the arena has come back up now. And it's immediately used on just a Rubik. However, any pick is quite useful to try and pivot into this tower. The Alchemist has his Battle Fury, very quick. However, Battle Fury does not a team fight make. And so, picking off the Rubik brings this down to only a maximum of 3 people defending this tower. And Magnus is off living his best life somewhere else, trying to cut waves, play safe, and just have impact on the map without really getting in the way of people. Doesn't want to die before this Blink Dagger comes out. And they really need this Blink to try and swing these fights. But in the meantime, Dire's just getting so much for free. There's so little that can be done. They're playing this timing very well. Though the Void does actually get picked off by a quick lift into a pull into a Culling Blade. And that's a really bad camera control, but the Gust manages to bring down the Rubik with a few more arrows and a blast from the Oracle. Elder Titan almost on that Agnum Scepter. Tries to duke away in trees, and then the trees are all brought down. Looks like he's going to look for the deny. Will get it. But unfortunate TP to make when you have no mana. Does seem like this Alchemist is going to go Halberd first. Very concerned about the 2 right-clickers who are already starting to look very scary. Maelstrom completed. Yasha not far behind. And it looks like the cores alone are enough to push this Alchemist out. They don't feel like they need a support. They're big boys who can take care of themselves. And they have no desire to allow this Alchemist to farm. There's the Chronosphere. With the Drow, it might just be enough to bring him down. How are they getting away with this? All the way by the tier 2, it's just the 2 cores. There's no supports from either side anywhere even near. And yet they get away with blowing a Chronosphere and just wailing on him with no interference. They have so little defense, it feels like, for this Alchemist. I suppose they're expecting him to play in the triangle. And yet he's not. He's not in there. And I don't know if that's because it's not very efficient for him to be in there for one reason or another. Maybe people are taking it, or it otherwise feels just a little less, doesn't feel good, or if he's making mistakes. I couldn't say. Does go for the cliff on the Void, unfortunately not quite as effective as with the Elder Titan, who appears to have managed to recover despite getting heavily memed on for the first part of the game. Now, if we do look at the last hits, we find that the Radiant are heavily ahead on their the 1 and 2 positions, which shouldn't surprise you. That's all they've been doing. They've been hitting creeps, whereas the Void and the Drow have been running around and killing people. But if we compare the net worth, the Magnus has nothing by comparison to the Drow. He's even with the Void, but the Drow's even with the Alchemist, and that's not what you want to see. You want to see that Alchemist genuinely ahead, not a few hundred gold ahead. It's not enough. Alchemist needs an advantage to be truly scary, and oh my, that is a lot of damage. Chunking down 3 almost immediately with the multi-shot. Rubik falls, Ogre follows, and now they look for more. Buyback already committed. Axe sitting on the back lines, waiting for his moment to go in. RP doesn't manage to get much with the false promise, keeping the Drow from getting stunned at all. Looks like Axe might just get away off the back of the Oracle Heal. Another Oracle Heal. The heal is just quite a lot, but they will finally be beaten down by the Elder Titan's massive hammer. And it's looking rough. 3k net worth lead. Quite a large gold swing, and look at the damage from that Drow, purely pretty much off of the multi-shot. That is apparently Gust. I don't quite believe it. Oh, must be an immortal I don't know about. There seem to be quite a lot of those in these games. And they do eventually manage to siege down this tier 2. They've been going for it for about 5 minutes now. I wouldn't be too surprised to see them start to look towards a first Roshan already. Void not quite finished up with his really, his early game fighting items quite yet. Has enough to be going on with, but does the Alchemist manage to get out? Yes, just barely. Has the timing on the TP. But I would be scared if I was the Radiant of this Drow, who is really getting out of hand. When the Alchemist starts to come online with the items, we do see the Halberd is finished up. That will... it'll limit the damage by about half. It'll take out one of the main damage sources of the Dire lineup, and could be a huge effect if the Alchemist isn't caught in the Chronosphere. And speaking of being caught, it looks like the Elder Titan is starting to. Chrono is deployed. And Axe getting focus down. Arena is used on the back lines. And to trap up the Alchemist. And can he be brought down? Yes, does fall very quickly to the combined power of the 3 cores of the Dire. But Void is hungry for blood. He smells more. It looks like they're debating whether to go high ground or take the tier 2. And it looks like they'll be taking the safer option. Getting that easy tier 2, trying to just cement their lead, take over the map, get that gold, and then hopefully pick up a Roshan off the back of it. Perhaps a little too early to do it off the back of just the outkill. His respawn timer is still quite low, though his courier does get sniped. I didn't quite catch what was on it. But even so, not really what you want when you're already feeling a little bit behind, though he is top net worth by a full 1,000 gold, but you're not feeling it yet. Maybe it's just a matter of initiation, and they do find one onto the Drow. Triple RP onto the cause, and they bring down the Mars. Can they get the Drow as well? It's a full 5-man, there's no question about that. She's brought down post-haste, and that is the first real strike the Radiant have landed against the Dire, and perhaps as it is indicative of things to come. Axe still chasing, wants Elder Titan, who has quite a lot of... who will be spell immune for quite a lot of the game now with that Axe. But spell immunity does not matter to Axe. Really making a few mistakes with the camera here, but I think that's forgivable. And I'm also not speaking quite like how I want to. This is a bit closer, but I think I'm getting a little bit nasally, perhaps because I've been touch under the weather.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Just a touch, case of the sniffles and all that. But what will we see? Let's have a check-in on the items. The Alchemist is still looking for the Assault Cuirass. Will be there before too long, but it's still a while away, so there's still quite a bit of time for the Dire to exploit their being stronger. X-Saber finished up. Rubik is looking for the Blink, which perhaps he wishes he had by now, as the Dire have headed into the Roche with a medallion. And that will be a very quick Roche, and Drow will claim the Aegis. They managed to kill her once so far. The question is, can they do it twice in a row? If they manage to pull her out of position like they did last time, and put her in a 5v1 gangbang, yes, very easily. This is a squishy lady, but she deals out the damage. Very much like my aunts, can throw it out but cannot take it. However, if they just manage to dive the back line and kill her there, it'll be significantly more difficult. Especially considering there is an Oracle who, if he misses the save on the first life, you can be damn sure he won't on the second, should he be alive. So it's hard to pick a clear target priority in this game. Everyone on their team has quite a clear contribution to the team fights. And all of them could be clutch in their own way. The nice TP will catch the Ogre out. No question about his death. The question is, what can they transition it into? Will it be anything? Is a 60-second death timer on the Ogre? They might be able to find something. Void, down bottom. Trying to push waves with the Alchemist sitting behind him. Has the Assault Cuirass finished up now? This could be a bit of a surprise. I don't think they know. No, he's pinged out on the wards. They know he is there. Mars is around, getting that blink cancelled constantly. Alchemist held down by the Arena. stuck there, but the HP regen is keeping him strong. They don't have the drow damage. Drow is chasing the axe. The Earth Splitter is in. He's rooted up, almost gone. A little bit more, and he will fall. And Drow will pick up the axe on the backline. Quite a ballsy move from the Drow to completely ignore the Alchemist. Trust that the rest of the team can do it. I wish I knew how to check more easily what the Dire can see, but I'm not sure they knew quite where their supports were, and that was a dangerous play to make. If that one of those had been backed up by supports, that would have been pretty terrifying. Speaking of terrifying, the Elder Titan's damage is pretty terrifying. That man does a huge amount. He is a living divine rapier, as I like to think of him. In a good game. In a bad game, he's closer to a living loudspeaker that's just a little bit annoying. It plays static. It doesn't do a huge amount, but you wish it wasn't there. And they finally move towards actually sieging a tier 3 tower. Aegis on the Drow, they're not too concerned about her hitting it, but they don't want to throw it away for nothing. Now that everyone is back up and Void has separated from the rest of them, they're not too keen to just take a fight. But the Radiant have smoked. Oracle tanks the smoke like a true bro, a true position 5, as the rest of his team gets the hell out of a dodge. But the Mars is found. 2 supports, not the end of the world, so long as they don't get too much more out of this. And both of them appear, or rather one of them appears to have TP'd out, whereas Drow, amazingly, just sitting there, managing to, just getting away with it. As the Radiant start to run it down. S&Y is completed, and almost a full Satanic, just about 1,000 gold off the Reaver. We do see the Drow is caught by the Alchemist on the backline, RP'd up. There is no Oracle save in range. Killed once. The Oracle is here. Can he put himself in a position to save this Oracle? Chronosphere on the backline finds the Alchemist as he tries to cover away. The Drow's back up. Is the damage there enough? Ogre, trying to be as annoying as he can, decides to go for the TP out right in the middle. Actually gets it in the middle of 5 heroes. They just don't care about him. The Alchemist is a much juicier kill. They don't even have a stun to spare. That's some all chat that I don't know anything about. Illusion. I can only speak 2 languages, English and algebra. And I've been told English doesn't count. Rubik does finally have his Blink Dagger finished up, but my god, the damage on that multi-shot. Practically a 4-shot at this point in time. And not much is going to stop them from taking this tower. No Aegis left on the Drow, so a little bit scary if she gets caught out. Could put themselves in prime position for an axe call, or a skewer back from the Magnus under the tier 4s will find the Faceless Void. I need to stop saying that. Void will be brought down. No, said that too much as well. Either way, they catch the Alchemist in this arena and instantly bring him down with an ult combo. It's time for one of the teams to punch back. It's just we've yet to figure out which one it is. Despite the game really feeling Radiant-sided, it's still anyone's game. It's on a knife edge, and that's what Rubik is going to be looking at tonight as he is brought down instantly once again. Just death whenever he enters the range of the Drow. They finally kill the tier 3. And they don't press their luck any further than that, despite the dead Alchemist. Playing extremely disciplined here. They do not want to let it slip. Wouldn't be too crazy if they even wait till the next Roche, which you can see not too long away. Oracle just picking up some farm. But a smoke from the Radiant. Looks like it's actually the full team trying to run and find anyone they can. It looks like Ogre's smoke only is broken by the Oracle. And it looks like Oracle will once again tank the smoke. Good positioning. Might actually manage to George get away with the Glimmer. No. Not a chance. Brought to justice. Cut down. And sent back to the spawning pools where he belongs. I'll admit my camera work has been a bit lacking this game. Blink is now actually purchased by the Alchemist. Should be interesting to see him make use of it, probably to try and just jump those squishy backliners. But you never know, there's 1,000 ways to use a Blink. I would assume that Drow is going for a butterfly, and when her courier respawns, we'll know for sure. Yes, she will be going for a butterfly.
Dire's courier has been killed.
Successful invasion of the Dire jungle here by the Radiant, trying to now hightail it out before the red police come.
Dire's courier has been killed.
Before the red police come. I need to remember to speak properly and not in my throat like this, because that is how we sound proper. We use our voice properly. It feels more fun. Rubik manages to jump out to the fountain right in front of everyone. Just well timed. Little play there. But it must be said, this Alchemist has his BKB complete, and now a real force to be reckoned with in the fights. But BKB does not stop Chrono, and it does not stop Drow from just raining death down in front of you. But if they can manage to put the Alchemist somewhere that isn't in the Chronosphere, there's not much to stop him anymore with the BKB. Looks like he will stun himself. It's quite a long stun, but they don't seem to be able to capitalize on it.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower
Waiting for that Roshan. It's going to be the slowest spawn possible. Before the action resumes in this game. Just a couple of minutes left to wait, and the Chronosphere is committed very early, only catches the 2 supports, which means the Alchemist will be free to just run around. Call dodged, Axe firmly out of position for the moment, but so is the Void. Magnus caught by the arena, but BKB is out. Should be chased down reasonably easy enough, but no, they give up the chase. There's a much nicer target in the form of the Alchemist. But no, to hell with the Alchemist, we want to kill this Axe. He is annoying. That's what this Void is saying. And kill that Axe, they do. Rubik hasn't been beaten up enough. Die back now. Getting really expensive, these fights. All they get for that, all they get is a measly Oracle. That's not what you want. That is not what you want. It seems to be really firmly on the shoulders of the Alchemist to carry this game, but it's an Alchemist. It's been losing the whole game. It's kind of missed its peak window of just winning the game. And there falls Roshan. Blink in, and Elder Titan will fall with no chance for response. but the rest of the team is on their way. Just needs a lucky bash. Strauss should have done what my last silencer did and buy a basher, because that makes a lot of sense on ranged heroes. Come on, get that bash, or just get an arena and then wail into the poor bastard. Either way, this is starting to get a little bit snowbally. Magnus trying his best to keep the waves pushed out and cut up in top, but I think it is all for naught. They start to push on through the backdoor protection, not quite enough damage yet, but creeps will be here before too long. Now they have arrived, delivered in the mail. Rubik, oh, that's not a fun game for a Rubik, a squishy support just getting jumped on and killed over and over again. I know that sort of pain. And there go the mid-racks. Now, do you look towards the end of the game, or do you look to another set of racks? Bot racks. That is what they decided to go for, and that will be what they do. Spear doesn't miss, leaving Mars stranded in no man's land. Speared back, called up into the fountain. And he will die. But it's looking still very difficult for Dire. Remember the Axe, or the Mars rather, was a support, and there goes the Oracle, brought down low, and what a splitter, what a multi-shot, what a chronosphere, just an absolute wombo combo, bringing down the vast majority of the Radiant lineup. Alchemist caught out, does actually manage to get away with a well-timed skewer from the Magnus, and no lucky bashes from the Void. And that's a stun onto the Void. He's starting to fall low. They keep skewering him back. Can they get him any further? Axe is back. Might be looking for a way forward as the Alchemist does eventually get slain. Another skewer back. Long range skewers thanks to that Agnum Scepter and a low cooldown. And a brought down by the Culling Blade. Drow is next. Should still have the Aegis. Dies once. Can the Void do anything to get out of this predicament? It doesn't look like it, but a gust creates just about enough distance. Axe might be going down on the back shot. Another multi-shot. Just the sheer amount of damage brings down the Axe. Does have a buyback, though. Will he choose to use it as these two massive cores run rampant in your own base? But a blink forward and a stun onto the Drow. Combined, Axe catches both of them as Rubik puts them together. Void maybe getting away, brings down the Rubik on the way out. Can he get any more? Oracle is finally back, has the false promise. Might be just the final nail in the coffin. But the Radiant, but it seems like they can't quite catch. They brought down the Drow, but the buyback is immediate. And they can't finish the Void up even with such a clean wombo combo of spells. And that was without the Oracle, without any of the sports. And now the false promise is up and available. Doesn't look like the Radiant have anything left to give. GG boys. GG.